I think that's where you're getting it wrong is that Akine is offering a prescription for a solution to a problem that is present right now. Whereas we're talking about like there's a difference between talking about what should be and what ought to be. I mean, what ought to be and what is.
But we control that narrative though.
No, I mean, yeah, we can talk about it, but if people out there dealing with the world that they're living in, the and we start trying to offer prescriptions for the world that they live in, we can't base it off what it should be because that's not the world that they're living in. They're living in a world where there is no standard to how people need to behave in relationships. They're living in a world where there is no standard for marriages. They're living in a world where there is no fear of the
Is
loss of marriage.
is
So,
that
I
not
don't think that's true.
counterproductive?
well,
That seems counterproductive.
it's not necessarily that it's not counterproductive. It's more so that what what we're saying doesn't work because they don't live in that world. It doesn't matter.
Because
We can say we can scream until we blue in the face. Like it's like a person who tries to go to a bunch of atheists and tell the atheists how God wants them to behave. They're gonna be like, "Well, I don't believe in your God, so why are you telling me this?"
All right, I mean that's arguable because you can someone that could be aware of it can feel convicted by it to change their ways.
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying, but again, the solution to that is creating the standard and enforcing the standard and promoting the standard. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, but at what point do we it's the same thing with the school again. If nobody stands up and says anything, you know what I'm saying, and creates what the standard was, then there will never become a standard.
have you ever seen
Also,
somebody that was comfortable? I, I, and the thing is, I'm not disagreeing with you saying that there should be a standard. I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm simply saying is that when you go to a group of people and they're dealing with whatever they're dealing with, they want to solve the problem. Honestly, how they want to solve the problem. They want what they want. And how they're going to get to that solution is how they want to get to that solution. So we come to them, we can, and don't take away from this. What Viz is saying is not wrong. That is a solution, but also it's a solution to a problem if people buy in. What Akene is doing is he's offering you a solution to the situation that you're in right now. If that motherfucker don't do what you need them to do, leave. You shouldn't be afraid to walk away because that's the current situation that they're in.
That's
Like
a
you
cop
can't.
out, bro.
No,
That's a
it's not. It's not a cop out. It's mostly like if I'm dealing with somebody that ain't guided. Like for instance, Akene is speaking to somebody that's dealing with somebody that is not guided by the rules that you're setting, right? So the rules that you set the standard that you said needs to happen. Akene is talking to the person that's dealing with that person right now. You're dealing with a person that is not guided by principle. They're not the woman that he's dealing with ain't listening to you. So what Kena is offering a solution is saying, don't be afraid to walk away from that person. You have to be okay with leaving that person behind. And then he needs to find somebody that's guided by your principle. That way, you know what I mean? It works out. That's what I'm saying. They both are solutions. It's just one is a solution to the problem that the person is in, and yours is a solution to the problem where everybody is actually guided by those principles.
I think I hear you. I think the solution in that case is you go to therapy. You figure out what's happening. Where's the dysfunction, the miscommunication.
Okay.
You address those points first. But just telling a married man or a married woman that if they not listening, feel comfortable with leaving, that's dangerous as fuck. Like we on this panel, and I've heard it the most on these panels, is that we address the number rate, the percentage of divorce all the time. So it's like, why feed into what it is that he's saying if we're trying to combat it? Like that doesn't make sense.
Well, I
It's
think because it
counterproductive.
can.
and I think the reason why we're
Yeah,
doing that
yeah,
is because we don't have
Sweeney,
an
let me
answer.
talk. Oh, go ahead, go ahead,
Before you go
go
ahead,
ahead, Black.
the reason why we're doing that is because we don't have an answer, right? We don't know how to empower people. That's the whole point. So that's why I said like the last point of call in a marriage should be that I'm leaving, right? Now the key question is that we said, okay, for instance, she's not listening to you. Well, we didn't ask the question in between. Why she ain't listening to you? We went straight to, well, we got to leave. No, you didn't ask the question, why is she not listening to you? Let's work through that backwards and find out why she's not listening to you. And I can tell you this why, because listening to this is me personally, just the life I've lived the last couple of years. Can't say it's not been the most gracious, right? I've been dealing with a lot of women that have boyfriends. Just want to be honest with you, right? Now, I know it's terrible. I know. But what I learned from that process, and I've changed. The Lord knows me. Okay, is I reverse engineered everything that was happening, right? So when I'm dealing with people that have a partner, right, and they're out there in the streets, I ask the question why. Once I start talking to them, I start realizing maintenance is important, right? If you have a car, right? If you have a car and you don't maintain that car very well, it doesn't last very long, right? So I'm not giving people a pass, by the way, to do what they're doing. What I'm telling you is about how you have to maintain. See, so a lot of times, whenever we have this conversation, men will be like, run that street. Yeah, I don't care. She's not my program. It's like, no, you don't have a program at all. Your program is my way or the highway, and it doesn't work like that. There is no relationship that's my way or the highway that's usually effective, right? Especially in 2024. What we have to look for, especially in the situation you're talking about, right, is there are going to be some people that need to just leave. We know that. But before you get to that place, right, before you get to that place where you just leave, let's first and foremost have a conversation about what's the best principles that you should be following yourself. Like, are you in a better position? Because you can leave and end up in the same position again. Because remember I said to you earlier on about mirrors, right? That person, have you actually learned and grown from that relationship? If you haven't, my aunt, stay in that place. Because you know what? Sometimes relationships are teaching us how to grow in areas of ourselves. If she's not listening, maybe the way that you're talking, maybe the tone, maybe the words, maybe the timing and season that you're releasing that piece of information ain't working for you. Right? You have to be a scientist of your relationship and observe what's actually happening to you and in your relationship. So if you're asking a question about, if you're saying, she doesn't follow my lead, she doesn't listen to me, I got to ask that question, bro, why isn't she following your lead? And if you can't tell me why, you haven't figured it out either. That means at that point, you haven't gone deeper into yourself to go, actually, let me see why. Is there times that she does follow me? Okay, with it. You haven't done any observation at all. And at that point, you end up in the same position.
Have you ever dealt with somebody that just wants? Have you ever dealt with somebody that does what they do because it's what they want to do?
Have I ever dealt with? Yeah.
That's so. It's not always a situation where the guy she just doesn't want to do it. I don't want to do what he wants me to do. It doesn't matter how good he says it to me. It doesn't matter what. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. There are a lot of that want a leader. They want someone to lead them, but they don't want to be led. You know what I'm saying? They make it difficult to lead them. So I agree. I agree with that for sure. But if that was the case, and you would see that in many cases beforehand, don't marry the broad.
As a matter of fact, I'll give y'all a shiny example of this, right? I was talking to this woman on the phone because I'm glad we're talking about the situation of control, right? I was on the phone with this girl because I was trying to get her to come on one of my shows. I think I might have tried to get her to come on JR's show. And she had her own show. And I'm like, so I'm having a conversation with her. And she has a kind of like a thing, like she kind of feels iffy about men and whatnot, right? And one of the things she was complaining about was she was telling me how her man was controlling. And I'm like, damn, why does everybody keep saying they man is controlling? So I started diving deep. I started asking questions. I said, well, what was an example of him being controlling? She was like, oh, he was being controlling financially. He was being financially controlling, financially abusive. I said, huh? So what do you mean by that? Basically, this is what she described to me. Her and her boyfriend came up with a financial plan. He was willing to stay as long. He was the breadwinner at the time. He was sticking to the plan. He was financially sticking to the plan. They were saving up for God knows what. I can't remember exactly what. I don't know if it was for a house or whatever. He was putting his money aside, all his excess money to buy this house. She got a raise. So she was like, so when she got the raise, he was like, okay, all good. I'm glad you got the raise, baby. Let's stick to the plan. She wanted to do something. She wanted to go on vacation. He said, that's not a part of our plan. We need to stick to this plan so we can get closer to this house. Now we can get there faster. And then after we get the house, then we can do what we want to do. She didn't want to do it. And basically they wound up breaking up over that because he was like, no, it's not. She broke up with him because she was like, I didn't want to, it was my money and I wanted to do what I wanted to do with it. And he was like, and she broke up with him. And I was like, how is that controlling? He had y'all set a plan together. This was y'all plan. He didn't make this up on his own. This was y'all plan. And as long as it was his money, you was okay with dealing with the plan until it became your money. And that's what I mean by when we talk about situations where people sometimes mistake control for doing what you're supposed to do. And that was just one of the examples that I got.